Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
That's where roadtoruta.com. It is what is today, March 26th. There is a little tiny rumor of movement to buy silver on March 31st. On the retail side, hey, if you're an industrial buyer, if you had brains, you'd be already loading up on silver. But man, I'm all with it. You know, I've been through a couple of the retail silver squeeze attempts. I love it because it draws awareness. Don't expect it to do anything, but it doesn't mean it can't do anything. I do think we are at that point in time where silver will be squeezed. And it will be squeezed hard, and it will be squeezed to the detriment of the banking system. The number one silver rigger, JP Morgan Chase, which is the number one rigger. I hope everybody fully understands the implications of the largest bank on the planet having massive silver short positions. These are massive implications. Why do I say JP Morgan? What happened this month? We're going to be over 80 million ounces delivered on the COMEX, right? 80 million ounces. And I will show you right here who was the number one provider of that silver, meaning who was, at the end of last month, who was the number one short that didn't close out their short positions? JP Morgan Chase. Yes, the same JP Morgan Chase that the U.S. government busted back in 19 for rigging the silver market, gold and the U.S. treasuries, but silver market was the number one reason. And yes, they did collude, and yes, it should have been RICO charges. But Trump wanted to keep the system going for a while longer. But here it is, right here. JP Morgan Chase Securities delivered this month just shy of 6,000 contracts. Why is that number so important? Let's go ask Chat. Let's go ask Grok. Position limits. The position limits for silver contracts are set by the CFTC and enforced through the CME, which operates COMEX Exchange. These limits are designed to prevent excess speculation and potential market manipulation. They apply to both spot month, near-term delivery, and non-spot month. Here's the current COMEX silver futures position. The spot month limit is set at 25% of the estimated deliverable supply of silver. For COMEX silver, this translates to a limit of 6,000 contracts was their limit. That is the most you can do. And how much did JP Morgan do? 5,950 contracts so far. We didn't hit the limit. What are you talking about, Bix? Oh my God. So JP Morgan was short going into the close of last month, 30 million ounces of silver. This is the same bank that literally got busted for rigging the silver market. The same bank that controls all the inventories of silver of SLV. The same bank that Blythe Masters, the ex-wicked witch of JP Morgan, came out and said, we wouldn't ever rig any market, any commodity market. That would be legal. It's wrong, and we don't do it. We have video of her saying that. And then she gets busted 2 months later for rigging the energy markets. And then it was her entire group that got busted for the silver rigging. And two of the riggers that work for JP Morgan are in jail. And many people came out and said, oh my God, Jeffrey Christian was wrong for these past 20 years, 25 years, 100% wrong. And Jeffrey Christian calling everybody a tinfoil hat. He never ate crow. He never even said anything about it. Oh, rogue traders. Bullshit rogue traders. Rogue traders. That's ridiculous. Everybody in corporate America has limits of what they can do without the approval of their bosses. These aren't rogue traders. It is a coordinated and successful for the past, well, at least the past 50 years on the COMEX, since the early 1970s when the COMEX, this version of it, was created. Very successful rigging program. Congratulations, criminals. The same year that JP Morgan got fined $920 million for rigging, they booked a $1 billion gain in that same division. Precious metals. So don't tell me it's not profitable. Anyway, let's go back to where I want. There's some really important things to talk about. So number one, yes, buy silver on March 31st. Absolutely. Let's squeeze those bankers. Oh, by the way, buy silver today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Stack it up. This is the end of 180 years of price oppression. This is going to be bigger than anything you've ever seen in your life. And we are so close to our freedom, also the destruction of everything. So better get that physical silver in your own possession. Because if JP Morgan goes down, which they just showed us, they are the number one big short for, here they are right here. They had $30 million short, or 30 million ounce short going into the end of the month. There's only one reason to have a 30 million ounce short. That's to keep the price low. That's it. So yes, absolutely. Silver squeeze, March 31st. Silver squeeze, April 1st. Silver squeeze, April 2nd might be a very big day because of the tariffs. 25% tariffs on silver coming into the United States, where we get most of our silver from Canada and Mexico. I guarantee you this is 100% why these tariffs are going on. It's to destroy the silver cabal. So very exciting. But you have to be in a position that you can just sit and wait no matter what the price does. If the price goes to minus $40 like they did with oil, you can sit it out, wait it out. If it goes to $1 million, you can wait it out. The key is not how many fiat dollars you have. The key is how much silver do you have in your own possession when the system falls apart. And JP Morgan just showed us the largest short position in the world. So let's just say silver goes to $100 right away. Because we've seen it. I mean, if you look at, this is the historical silver chart. What happens when silver goes over this line right here, over $35? I mean, back in 1980, we know it jumped to $50 intraday. And it was only stopped because they changed the rules on the COMEX. But now more people have eyes on the COMEX. The COMEX is hurting because they can't do anything they want. They can shut down the exchange, which I think would be the best thing for silver. And then in 2011, we knew JP Morgan was going to rig the price of silver up and then down. I screamed it when they put their number one guy in charge of fixing problems. Bill Daley was put as Obama's number one guy when silver ran in 2011 to 1 month before. It ran to $50 again. JP Morgan brought it up. Everybody panicked and started to get in, and then they shorted the crap out of it. 2 billion ounces traded in one day of naked shorts and slammed the price down. That's how the game is played. So we're at that $35 price again. I think it's going to blow right through $50. And then after $50, it is kingdom come. Nobody has any technical charts that go over $50 because it hasn't. You know, the dollar obviously is worth less than in 1980. Very, very exciting time for anybody who owns physical silver in your own possession. A very sad time for people who own SLV. Why? Because JP Morgan's going to take that silver. Or the government's going to take that silver. Every country will put their arms around, okay, what do we got? If JP Morgan goes, the largest systemic bank on the planet, no other bank will survive. No other stock market, bond market, crypto market will survive that. It's gonna be, what do you have in your possession? Period. And don't expect anybody to help you. But the people who hold my silver are lovely people. Great. Good for them. I'm sure they have lovely families that they want to take care of too, and they're going to use your silver because there's nothing else. I hope this is sinking in. Anyway, yeah, we're at that point. Very exciting times. Gold silver ratio is still at 89 to 1. 89 to 1. What do I think it should be? 1 to 10. 1 ounce of silver buys you 10 ounces of gold for 2 reasons. The number one reason is it's coming out of the ground. 7 to 1. Historically, before the rigging jobs really started, gold and silver ratio was always determined by how much above ground silver is available in that economic system. It was like different areas of the planet would have a different gold silver ratio. It didn't vary that much, anywhere from 5 to 1 to 20 to 1, somewhere in the middle there. And that was normal because that was the above ground. Right now we have an above ground of 1 to 1. Supposedly. That's what the official numbers are. Why do I say 1 to 10 then? Because I know there's 10 times as much gold as they tell you there is. It's not 200,000 tons. It's more like 2 million tons of gold out there. And when all this is understood and recognized, the price of silver in relation to the price of gold is going to shock people. And you're going to say, oh my God, I could have swapped it at 89 to 1, and I didn't do it. I didn't do enough. I held on to my precious gold. Oh, the precious. We'll find out, though, right? Who knows? We haven't had free market trading in silver in 180 years. That's scary. Or gold, by the way. Yes. Why is gold up almost 400% from its 1980 high? Because the banks have all the gold. Now, when the banks crash, and they will, like JP Morgan starts going down, what are they required by law to do? Sell their assets to try to stay solvent. What will they be selling? All the Bitcoin they got, all the gold they got, everything they have. It won't work, but hey, that's the reality of how this fractional reserve banking system works. Look at what the banks have. That's what they'll be selling. So I do expect the price of, even without manipulation, the price of gold to dive, because the banks have all the gold. They don't have all the silver, but they can still electronically make it dive. So you just got to hold on to everything you got through this transition. All right. One more point. Yesterday I talked about Ventris Gibson has finally resigned from the Mint, the worst U.S. Mint director in the history of mankind. And she was given an award by the other crazy rigger, Wally Amino, in recognition of singular accomplishments and leadership within the Treasury Department. I talked about this yesterday, but I didn't play you yesterday my interview with Jack Sherman, the head of Silver Eagle sales at the U.S. Mint. And there was one part of the Mint where he told me that senior management, and his boss was Ventris Gibson, made the decision they didn't want to make any more Silver Eagles. Listen to this.
Because right now, the only reason people aren't, and they still are buying Silver Eagles at $15 over, but the only reason they're not buying is that the quantity is not being supplied in the same quantities as other sovereign mints. And of course, you're not going to have great numbers this year because you didn't even give us an opportunity to buy them. Really,
we didn't make them. An internal management decision was made not to make them.
Right, and so
and believe me, they came to me because I was a primary dealer. I ran a primary dealer trading desk before I came to the Mint, so I know how this works.
Right,
and so they came to me and said, basically, what can we get away with that's palatable?
Yeah, but why did they want to?
If demand's north of 30 million, and you only decide, they want to know, well, what number can we make? Well, we're not going to get phone calls and letters from congressional.
Right. But why would they want that? I mean, wouldn't they want the program to do well?
Look, if you're running a business and you have a lot of different product lines, every product line has a different margin, my friend. Every product has a different margin. And if you only have a finite supply of something, as a business, you're going to maximize the sale of products that makes your business the most margin.
But that's illegal. What you just described, from what the law says, it's only, I get the things you can mark up, and you guys do, obviously, from the website. But from the law, it says you are required to make the silver bullion, bulk bullion program available to the people at your cost. There's no markup that is written into the law for the bulk bullion. And I'm not asking if you guys mark it up more or not,
no,
but there is a requirement to supply it. There's not a requirement to supply the commemorative coins and all the other coins, just the Silver Eagle bulk.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. The legislation, my understanding has been that the bullion program, by and large, is primarily supposed to just be a break-even program.
Yeah, that's the law.
Whatever my costs are,
you pass through.
You put a little bit of a buffer on it, and that's what you pass it through to your consumer.
Yep.
That has changed.
But it didn't change legally. It changed with the new administration, probably.
Thank you.
So, did you know David Ryder?
That was the head of Silver Eagle sales, Jack Sherman, who'd been there since the 1980s, saying, yeah, Ventris Gibson, the new administration, changed changed the law. Actually, didn't change the law. Subverted the law to destroy the Silver Eagle program, which she did. Silver Eagles are now the number 2 best-selling silver coin after being literally the best-selling Silver Eagle since the 1980s when the program was invented. Now we're number 2 behind the Maple Leaf. Ventris Gibson, ladies and gentlemen, is leaving on Monday. Bravo, Ventris. You destroyed one of the most sound institutions in the United States of America, the U.S. Mint. And you got awarded for that. Trump, go take that award away. I think she should be stripped of that award. It's just a freaking award. No big deal. The reality is she should be stripped of the award. She did more to harm the U.S. Mint than any mint director in the history of the United States of America. Here's who's taking her place, Christy McNally. Truthfully, I like Christy. I've heard a few things she said and a few things she's done. She's not she actually has experience at the Mint. She's been there 11 years, whereas Ventris Gibson had 0 experience. It was a DEI hire. It was obvious to everybody. Had no experience, 0 experience at the Mint. And she got in, Ventris destroyed it. Christy, hey, I'm talking to you. You got a new boss, Bissett, the Treasury Secretary. First thing you do is go to him and say, I want to make Silver Eagles. I want to make them like they're going out of style. The people need this type of currency in their hands. And by the way, we'll start making them at cost and selling them at cost to the dealers. So will there be so many Silver Eagles that we won't have massive markups? Because the massive markup in the reality is when they go on allocation, that is illegal under the U.S. law. 100% illegal under the U.S. law. They're required by law to make them in quantities that meet demand. Period. Exclamation point and no markup. So, Christy, I give you all my faith and confidence. Dive in, fix this problem, get the U.S. Mint back to being number 1. This should be the easiest job you've ever done. All you got to do is fire up the minting presses. Fire it up. Jack Sherman said the U.S. Mint right now can make between 50 million and 60 million Silver Eagles if they went flat out every year. And they can increase that. And if you're worried about, they can't get the silver blanks, that's bullshit. That's a lie. Because the U.S. Mint is the only mint on the planet that is legislated to pay whatever it takes to meet demand. So the U.S. Mint, theoretically, will pay more than anybody else. They are required to by law to meet demand. Now, Jack Sherman, back when this discussion was had 3 years ago or so, when Silver Eagle premiums was like $10, $15, Jack Sherman said demand was somewhere between 30 and 40 million Silver Eagles per year. Well, let's get back there. Where are we right now? Silver Eagle sales, just pathetic, Ventris. You really went out with a bang. They've only made 500,000 coins this month. Horrible performance. Horrible. These should be 3, 4, 5 million ounces. Now, this January was because they stopped printing and they stopped releasing the new ones in, I think it was November, December. So yes, January always has more because they stop it. They got to change the dyes. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, lots of changes going on. Here's the other thing, and this is so important to everybody who's in the silver market, and anybody who follows this stuff at all. Okay, this is the CME futures open interest. You can see it's really dwindling. Why is it dwindling? Because there's very little physical silver left. That's why. There is still 843 contracts left, which is about 40 million ounces, a little over 40 or 4 million ounces left to deliver. The current delivery is standing at 15,580 contracts. That's about somewhere around 78 million with 4 million left. It'll get us to about 82 in the next couple days if they are delivered. 82. I bet you 50 comes from JP Morgan Chase just to round it up to 6,000 to rub it in the face of everybody. Okay, here's the deal. And this is important. So I read you what was going on with position limits. JP Morgan Chase right here, the biggest delivery. This is their house account. That's the key. Their customers is little shell companies that they play games with. That's fine. The house account is not. The house account is subject to position limits. They're just at 6,000 contracts. Has JP Morgan continued the rig job? They're staying within the 6,000, but do we know? What do we think? What is the CFTC going to do if they look at these JP Morgan other accounts, the customer accounts, and say, this is just a shell corporation that JP Morgan set up so we wouldn't look at it? And they're colluding. That makes it a RICO charge also. But what will they do? Let's ask the great Bart Chilton of the CFTC. Chris Marcus, 4 years ago, had this interview with Bart Chilton. Listen to what he says. Listen to the beginning of this.
News reports in the public record showed that when Bear Stearns collapsed, that their silver positions got transferred over to JP Morgan. The Bear Stearns positions, when they came over, combined with JP's positions, were so large that they violated the position limits. What's not really looked at too much is that we made that allowance for a time certain. And that allowance was for them to be able to get out of those positions. And after this time was coming to an end, they were nowhere close to getting out of them. Matter of fact, at one point, they'd bought even more.
So you think the regulators are really going to do anything, Mr. Tamp down the silver price? I expect to see a tamp down on the next silver squeeze on Monday. Tamp down. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. We are being lied to, we are being stolen from, and we are being cheated. Period, exclamation point. Get out there, get the physical silver in your own possession, last chance. I know I've said last chance a lot of times. It's one of those things, you know, you cry wolf, 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 and pretty soon nobody listens to you. And then the wolf comes, and it's too late. Get your physical metal in your own possession. You cannot be 1 second too late for this. Because silver will go to what Cliff High saw in his data. Unobtainium. What is unobtainium? It's this new kind of metal that you just can't even buy. Silver in your own possession. If you have a couple fillings that are silver, you might be melting them down at some point. That's how crazy this world is. And that's exactly what Ruda wrote in the sand back in the 1981 comic book from the Fed. Talked about printing infinity money, and we've done that. We've printed infinity money. The United States dollar has been printed and abused so much. I'm not so sure that it's not far off from Zimbabwe, where they also printed infinity money, and look what happened to Zimbabwe. We control the markets with computer programs, so we're a little better off. But all that is falling apart. This is the largest silver delivery month in the history of a comics. It's going to be right around 82 million ounces of physical silver. And then what's going to happen next month? And the next month out of that is another delivery month. And is JP Morgan going to keep delivering 30 million ounces every month? This is the end game. Get your physical silver in your own possession. That's what I got for you. Go to roadtoroot.com. If you want to listen to the whole Jack Sermon interview, the head of Silver Eagle Sales, it's right on the front page. It's free. Go to roadtoroot.com, scroll down, and it's a 3-part interview. 1, 2, 3. I cut in and make little discussions of there's basically 5 things. It's a list of 5 things that the U.S. Mint did illegally while under Ventures Gibson. Go check it out. You want to subscribe to the private road where you get a whole lot more stuff. Go to roadtoroot.com, click on subscribe today, and we're currently giving away 5 Theta, 50 T-Fuel, and 500 T-Drop. Load it on paper wallet, mailed to your front door. You don't even have to know about cryptos. Just take it, put it in your stack of silver, because I think that'll be extremely valuable in the near future. So go check it out. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.